What is a fate worse than death? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Getting thrown into an oubliette. Slow mental decay. Alzheimer's sounds scary as all hell. Being in a coma, but you can see and experience time passing, kinda like sleep paralysis, but it's not just in your head. The diving bell and the butterfly. Knowing you will die soon, and not being able to do anything against it. Death row prisoners without a death date, deadly illnesses like Alzheimer's, being trapped under an avalanche, those sound quite bad. Being captured by a foreign country and tortured. Suffering pain for hours a day with no break, not knowing if or when it will end. Being paralyzed from the neck down. I would rather be dead. Being locked away in solitary confinement. Waterboarding. For those who don't know, it's placing a wet rag over someone's face while they tied to a chair. It's illegal everywhere, it's so messed up. It simulates drowning but never kills you. You're just stuck in an endless, drowning loop. Being wrongfully convicted of a crime. Losing a kid. Don't want to ever bury my kids. I wouldn't be able to function at all. I don't know how people can do it. Ending up blind, deaf, and unable to speak. Didn't know what the term was. Dumb. Being trapped in your own head, not being able to move or take care of yourself. My greatest fear is being deaf and blind. That would just be the end of everything I do for recreation. No television, no video games, no music, and no reading. The last is the big one for me. Reading is so fundamental to me that I don't believe I could live without it. The ending of I have no mouth and I must scream. Who would have thought that the finale to an already foreboding science fiction work could be so harrowing? I recently came across a thread on Twitter of a young woman who had COVID 10 months ago, and when her sense of smell came back, somehow it got altered, and now everything tastes like sewage or garbage to her. I've heard of a few people with long COVID who have had similar things happen, but just imagining absolutely everything, especially my favorite foods tasting of shit, you'd throw up all the time. It would just be horrendous. Being immortal, then getting sucked into space forever, not being able to breathe, forever suffocating for all eternity. Immortality. Imagine living for thousands of years on a single planet. Everything and everyone you love dies and withers to dust. Even if we do get the technology to get other habitable planets outside of our solar system, that wouldn't fix the problem of loneliness. And you have to hope that the people around you don't evolve into something you're not. Being eaten alive. It hurts. Trust me, my dog tries to do it to me all the time. I've been sober a long time. I'm not afraid that I'd die if I relapsed. I'm afraid I wouldn't. Spent years drinking around the clock because I had to prevent withdrawal. In some cases, not dying. In some of the most extreme accidents, such as surviving an 8-story fall or hit by a car at 100 miles per hour, people can be left with their bodies completely shattered and in constant agony. Joe Bonham, from the book and movie Johnny Got His Gun. Man lost both arms, legs, mouth, nose, eyes, ears, but is left alive, living only as a consciousness. Whenever you farted in church, it would sound like something screaming, "Amen!" But it was only during the story of David and Bathsheba. All my Christians will understand. Surviving a torture experience with a physical disability you didn't have before you were tortured. Living a full but empty life, not do anything with and achieving nothing. Dying empty must feel so horrible. If someone were to kill your family in front of you, then cut out your eyes and tongue and destroy your eardrums, then cut off their arms and legs and take a belt sander to their face to erase them, that seems oddly specific. Apparently this is a myth, but blood eagle, it's an execution method where the skin is peeled off your back and your ribs are severed from the spine ripped out of the body and hung over your shoulders while your guts fall to the floor behind you. You're awake for all of it and can sit there for hours while you die. Having no limbs. I mean literally everything cut off, like arms, legs, ears, eyeballs plucked out, tongue cut off, etc. Locked-in syndrome, ALS. I remember watching Chicago Hope a lot of years ago, and they did this experimental brain surgery on a man who appeared to be catatonic. He was not. They basically implanted electrodes in his brain so that he could communicate, and I believe his first words were, "Kill me." Obviously the show was fictional, but it was pretty powerful. There's a syndrome, disease, ailment that is sometimes referred to as the worst pain known to man. It basically starts as a toothache and slowly gets worse and more painful as time goes on. It gets so bad that victims often just start screaming uncontrollably and then pass out. The name slips my mind, but apparently it either goes away on its own or it stays for the rest of your life. As far as I know, there's nothing you can do to treat it, so many victims just commit suicide. That is truly a fate worse than death. Spend a winter in northern Sweden and you'll know the answer. Darkness from when you wake up until when you fall asleep, unless you have time off and can capture the narrow window of light you get each day. And if you remove your gloves, your fingers go numb in 10 seconds. Too cold to operate a phone outside because your fingers simply freeze to the point that you either put gloves on or lose fingers. So people stay inside in isolation most of the winter and only meet and hang out with their closely knitted friends group. Same routine, every day, and all you can do is brace until summer.